Hi BookTube, this is Lindsay from Lindsay Reads. I thought I'd make a video today about my favorite fiction books of 2018. They weren't all published in 2018. These are just books I read in 2018 that I really enjoyed. And I know it's late in the month to make a video about your favorites of 2018, but since I just started my channel, I thought it'd still be a good time to post this video as a way for you to get to know me more through some of the books I enjoy. These are just the fiction books, and I will make another video about the nonfiction books I enjoyed in 2018. So the first book is The Group by Mary McCarthy. It was published in 1963. It's about a group of college students, women college students, who have graduated from Vassar College, and their life after college. They meet up at a wedding of one of their friends, and it's about their unexpected life, like how they didn't always meet their target goal of, getting married, having a successful career, but their friendships, how their friendships developed through their life. The next book, and that book is it's a fiction book, but I think it's considered a classic. This book is a historical fiction, The Killer Angels by Michael Shaara. It was published in 1974, and it is a Civil War historical fiction about the Gettysburg Battle. And it's a really interesting take on a normal military historical fiction, because it's giving you insights to all of the military leaders, not just the the popular main ones like Robert E. Lee or Ulysses S. Grant, but some of the minor generals as well. And it's putting you through their eyes, and it's taking you, from each side of the battle as it's going on. And it's really heart-rendering. It makes it, it doesn't read like historical fiction at all. And it's a really good gateway if you're interested in getting into history. This could pique your interest into the Civil War. It's not just, plot points on a map. The next book, the third book, is called Two Boys Kissing by David Levithan. And it was published in 2013. And this is like a YA LGBT book about a 32-hour kissing competition where these two boys are trying to break the Guinness World Record for the longest kiss. And from hearing that, and I thought, it sounded kind of trivial, but this book really surprised me because it was so much more than that. Because it was the narrators in the book are these gay men who have passed away in the 1980s due to AIDS, and it's all about how the characters in the book, how they have so much more opportunity than gay people did back in the 1980s. And the characters in the book, besides the two boys in the kissing competition, there's all sorts of LGBT representation, and their struggles with long-term relationships, gender identity, gay dating websites. And so I would really, if you're interested in YA, it's not just your normal YA relationship book. Let's see. The next book I'm going to talk about is another YA called The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. I listened to it on audiobook, and it was narrated by Bonnie Turpin, I believe is how you pronounce her name. It was published in 2017. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this book through the movie adaptation that came out last year in 2018. I haven't seen the movie. In fact, when I read the book, I didn't even know a movie was coming out. But so if you don't know about this story, it's focused on the main character named Star, and she lives in a poor, predominantly Black neighborhood, but she goes to a prep school in the suburbs, which is mainly a white community. And it's her dichotomy of living in those two separate, basically she's living in two separate lives between because they don't really cross. And it kind of her story kind of throws her back when she encounters a cop. It kind of throws her world in upheaval. I don't want to give too much away in case you don't know about the story. But it was a really good YA book. And the next book I'm going to talk about is Longbourn by Jo Baker. And it is a Pride and Prejudice retelling of the Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. It came out in 2013. And I've never read a Pride and Prejudice retelling or any Jane Austen retelling, but this one was an interesting take because it was through the eyes of the servants. And I've read Pride and Prejudice twice, and I had never really thought about the servants in the book, and how in this retelling, Longbourn, the servants sometimes are in scenes that I didn't even know they were in during Pride and Prejudice. And it's all about, their storyline. And it has the Bennets in the story, but it's focused on the maid's life story. And then the next book on my list, speaking of Jane Austen, is her novella called Lady Susan. And this was published in 1871. And it's about, Lady Susan was a funny character. She was like a horrid character, but she's also she's up to all sorts of like hijinks and scheming. And I just want to read you a quote from the book. "What could I do? Facts are such horrid things." And so it gives you an idea. It was so funny, but you didn't really like her. You liked the book, but you didn't really like the character. In the way it was written, it could have been written in the 1900s or 2000s. So it's like it makes me want to pick up the rest of her novellas. I've read almost all of Jane Austen except Mansfield Park, and so I need to get on reading her Juvenilia. Okay, the next book on the list is by Amy Bloom, called White Houses, and this is a historical fiction book. It was published in 2018, and it's about the relationship between Eleanor Roosevelt and Lorena Hickok. Not much is known about their relationship. It's always been rumored that they had a relationship, but this is like historical, not historical, but it's like the author's take on what the relationship could have entailed and how it was being developed. It was really well written. And then the second to the last book I'm going to talk about is another YA. Oh no, it's not second to last. This is I can't count. The seventh. I lost count. Anyway, this is One of Us by Craig DeLuey. And this is a dystopian YA. And I just wanted to read the blurb on the back because it really drew me in. And it might pique your interest as well by this description of the book. They call it the plague, a generation of children born with extreme genetic mutations. They call it home, but it's a place of neglect and forced labor. They call him a freak, but Dog is just a boy who wants to be treated as normal. They call them dangerous. They might be right. And so this is about a group of children, adolescents, who have these deformities, like animal characteristics, and how they're living in like a foster care system, ruled by these normal people, normal adults, and their differences and similarities between the normal kids and how the normal kids get to know these freaks, their perspective of these children compared to the adults, and how there's like basically a battle is started between the normal people and the freaks, and who is in the end the freak in the story. So it's a different take on YA that I really enjoyed. So this is another dystopian I'm going to talk about. This is the second to the last book. Second to the last book. This is Parable of the Talents by Octavia E. Butler, and it was published in 1998. It's a sci-fi dystopian. It's in our Earthseed series. I read the first one, but this is the second one in the series because I decided to go with the second one because all the main plot points that are in the first book are mentioned in this second book. So you don't really have to have read the first one to be able to enjoy the second one. And it's about Lauren Olemina. I can't pronounce her her name, but it's about how she's living in Southern California during like an apocalyptic, the world ending, all of the everyone for themselves kind of story, and how she's living in a community with her family, and so but then her world kind of falls apart, and her journey in creating this earthly religion, because like she finds that the normal religions of that were maintained and established during normal times, like Christianity, Judaism, and all sorts of that. All those religions, how they didn't really suit the life she's living now, and so she's creating her own religion to get her through this dystopian time and her journey through religion and through her, through America, her travels through America. Now, this is my all-time favorite fiction book of 2018. I forgot to mention that all these other books weren't in a particular order. These are except for this last one. So this one is Ohio by Stephen Markley, and this was published in 2018. And this is set in Ohio, the Rust Belt, and it's about these friends in high school. Not all of them are friends, but acquaintances / friends in high school, and how they have, they've graduated, and not all of the friendships that they made during high school lasted, and how some of the characters have left and like fought in like the Iraq War or Afghanistan, or have moved on, and then at one night all of their paths converge again through all their different storylines. Some of the characters come back to the small town, and it's like a haunting story. It's very suspenseful about how some of these characters, their different like mentalities and personalities have crossed again, and it's like their secrets, their regrets, their lost loves, how all of that has come into play to bring them to this night. So it was really well written. I highly recommend that one. I highly recommend all of these, but for sure, Ohio. If you haven't picked it up and it sounds interesting to you, I would really recommend it. So these are my fiction books from 2018. And I will see you soon for my top nonfiction books of the year. Thank you, BookTube.